Hello, and welcome to Miss Franken's Flipped Classroom. Today, we're going to be talking about causes of World War I, which ran from 1914 to 1918. And we're going to be looking at specifically militarism, alliances, industrialization, and nationalism. Militarism, which is the glorification of the military. European leaders know war is coming. There's been all kinds of conflict, and Europe is essentially a giant powder keg just waiting for that one big spark to set everything off. So they start to prepare by first increasing armies and stockpiling weapons. Essentially, an arms race. Germany is the front runner in all of this, building up their military and stockpiling weapons. And Britain is trying to keep up. Two very powerful nations going head to head. The next war is guaranteed to be deadly, with machine guns, tanks, submarines, and airplanes coming into play. Next, we have alliances, which is essentially the art of making friends. It's another way to prepare for war, because your allies will have your backs. So two primary groups of allies form. First, you have the Allied powers, otherwise known as the Triple Entente, and that's made up of France, Russia, and Great Britain. When the U.S. enters the war later, they'll come in on the side of the Allied powers. The Central Powers, or the Triple Alliance, is made up of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. If one goes to war, all are going to war. So we know that if somebody declares war on somebody else, all of a sudden it's going to be a world conflict because all of the alliances will come into play. Industrialization, which is economic competition. It's fueled by imperialism. You guys remember imperialism, defining a nation's wealth by the number of countries that it controls, colonies it controls. Well, that and the push to outproduce other countries is another way to prepare for war. Germany is threatening America's dominance in industrial output, and nobody is very happy about this in the United States. Nationalism, which is devotion to one's nation. And we've looked at nationalism in a couple of different facets. Well, this form of nationalism is kind of scary because nations are developing pride in the majority ethnic group in the country. And so it's not just, I'm a German, but a specific ethnicity inside the German nation. So that's kind of scary to think about what could be happening long term. Countries reject that they are collections of different ethnic groups. So you're setting up for potential genocidal effects. And this is also fueled by the idea of social Darwinism, a concept that we've talked about in previous goals. The short-term cause of World War I, the immediate cause, is the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who's the heir to the throne of Austria-Hungary. He was killed by a Serbian national. Austria-Hungary investigates the assassination. The Serbians are non-compliant because they hate Austria-Hungary and they want to be their own nation. And so Austria-Hungary declares war. And now we have World War I. The alliances are tested immediately because once Austria-Hungary declares war, there's a domino effect and there's a world war in a week. Keep up, it's kind of confusing. Russia mobilizes to help Serbia. Germany declares war on Russia. France declares war on Germany. Germany invades neutral Belgium in order to get to France. And Great Britain declares war on Germany. Truly a world war in no time. Whoa, calm down. Fighting the war. On both fronts of Germany, we have the East Front and the West Front. Trenches are dug to protect the soldiers in ground cover. This leads to a very deadly stalemate, and nobody's going anywhere. This is almost a war fought over 7 miles each direction. The area between it, known as a no man's land, covered with barbed wire and landmines. I mean, it's deadly. So the solution to this, how are we going to fight out of the trenches? Nothing pushes technology forward like war. So they develop, some brilliant mind develops mustard gas. It lingers for days on the battlefield. It leaves chemical burns on the skin. It can burn your respiratory system, and in a lot of cases, it can be fatal, depending on how much is inhaled. This leads to the addition of gas masks in uniforms. What's America going to do? Because right now we're not involved. President Wilson wants to be neutral. And there are 3 different primary viewpoints in America during this time. You have the isolationists, who don't want to be involved at all. It's not their fight. It's not their businesses. They just want to see who's going to come out on top. You have the interventionists, who do believe that the war is affecting America, and they want to get involved. And then you have the internationalists, who kind of take a more middle-of-the-road stance. And they are concerned about what is going on. But they're not ready to jump in and fight the good fight yet. A lot of Americans choose sides. Because remember, we're a country of immigrants, and there are lots of first-generation and second-generation immigrants who have direct ties back to these countries that are fighting. Most of the American public, however, sides with Great Britain and France. America's neutrality is tested with several different things. First is unrestricted submarine warfare. Germany sets up a blockade around Britain using U-boats or submarines. There's no radar at this point, so they're able to get around virtually undetected, and they are super effective. In fact, they're so effective they sink a British liner, the Lusitania, killing 125 American citizens. The U.S. is outraged. But we don't enter the war yet. Germany makes what is known as the Sussex Pledge, which is a promise to stop using unrestricted submarine warfare. This promise is not going to last, and they're going to break it. After all, they are at war. The U.S. starts building up a military and building warships because they feel war is coming to America. Wilson, in 1916, is re-elected. His slogan is "He kept us out of war," because most people still want to follow the isolationist policy and remain neutral. But America finally abandons neutrality with the Zimmermann telegram. It's a telegram from Germany to Mexico, intercepted by the British, and in it, Germany promises Mexico land that was historically Mexico's in the United States, primarily Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, if Mexico will declare war on the United States and divert attention from America getting involved in Europe. Germany also resumes unrestricted submarine warfare. The Sussex Pledge goes right out the window. And so America finally declares war on Germany in 1917. Part 2 of this will talk about our involvement on the home front and in the battlefront. Thank you.